Most Canada road trips follow the same crowded path. Here is a smarter route with hidden stops you'll be glad you didn't skip.
And with that, we start with the first part of this video, which is about start smarter and not faster. Most people that go to Canada and that want to start driving to the Canadian Rockies start in Calgary. And most people that actually drive from Calgary to Banff, and that's most of the time the main drive people take. They take their car and drive right over to Banff and taking the highway number 1, but this way they miss the best part of it. The better option and way nicer option is to drive the Bow Valley Parkway, which is highway 1A that goes through here. And when you do that, in general, I always tell my clients, make the road trip itself an adventure. Plan steps, not steps, stops, and make steps in. The reason is simply because you have so much to explore and most often you have enough time. Having said that, what are you going to plan on the trip to Banff over the highway 1A is plan a stop in Cochrane with the Yamnuska Wolf Dog Sanctuary. Let's type that in, Yamnuska Wolf Dog Sanctuary. And it's a sanctuary for wolf dogs, obviously. And what you can do, so when you get there, you can plan different adventures and exciting stuff with the wolf dogs. If you're old enough, you can even sit with the wolf dogs. And the great thing, by the way, about Google, if you want to explore areas, you can always check the pictures of the places, see what might expect you. You can change views, check where it lays, and check the layers, how to get an idea how the surroundings are. That's one stop you can do, and that is very beneficial. Then the next one is when you drive highway number 1A all the way to Banff, you will pass Kananaskis, which is a great stop to stretch your legs as well, especially if you are on the road with your furry friends. And Kananaskis itself as such isn't a special place in a way where I have to eat. It's just a great way to stop where there are a ton of attractions in the sense of adventures you can do. There are lakes, as you see in the pictures further down the road. You have Lac des Arcs, for example, which is a great stop too. Kananaskis is known for its rugged outdoor and nature landscapes and the big views of the Rocky Mountains. So definitely a place to stop. What I've added as well is Canmore before we go to Banff, because you might have an accommodation in Banff or a campground, but you might think of having a cheaper food option in Canmore, although it is almost the same nowadays, but it's a bit less crowded, although many people know a less crowded place than Banff, but nonetheless, it is worth a stop, it is worth getting out and maybe grab yourself lunch or dinner, whatever time you go there. And as mentioned before, if you want to explore, like I do, the bases from afar and get a feeling about the city, look into Street View, move the person around, that one, let it drop to get a feeling of the place, of the city, and you immediately see that this Alpine village is quaint. It is a beautiful spot. And also a bit, let's say, not romantical, but like from a fairy tale, if one can say that. It always gives you a great idea and understanding what will expect you, especially if you travel with kids. So, that is part 1, and one option you can do. I have plenty more options for you ready at hand. So let's talk about the part 2, the 1000 Southern Detour. That will change your whole trip and how you thought of planning your trip to the Canadian Rockies starting in Calgary. Most people that go to the Canadian Rockies and want to start in Calgary going all the way to Vancouver, they probably go north. But actually what most people don't think of is going south to the Waterton Lakes National Park that is being shared with the US partially. And it is the southern end of the Canadian Rockies. Google Maps and look at the pictures so that you get a hunch about the surroundings. And when you go through these pictures and look at it to get an idea, you'll see immediately, if you look at these pictures, you get the same Rocky Mountain scenery, you get wildlife, you get lake sidewalks, you get mountain backdrops. And you know what's the best thing about it? It is at the fraction of the price and the crowds of Banff, but as you see, very similar. And what you then do is, if you're already south, you're gonna combine this trip with a drive towards some of the historic mine towns in BC and take the Crowsnest Pass to show you that on that part, which starts over here all the way to Crowsnest itself. And when you drive through these areas, you not only get beautiful sceneries, you get open highways. You will travel a bit slower, but more relaxed because there are not many crowds as up in Banff, and it's a great alternative to escape the crowds. And believe me, driving to these historic mountain towns, that's an adventure on itself and definitely worth a try. So if you already think that sounds kind of interesting and you want to get to know more or want to start building that on yourself, then check out the description below, because I have added the link to these Google Maps stops so that you can pick it and adjust it to your own needs. So let's talk about part number 3, which is the Overlook Connector. And when you think of going to the Canadian Rockies, they're the obvious ways you can drive into the Rockies, which most people take. And there's one option that is being a bit disregarded by many, and you don't find it in many recommendations how you get into the Rockies. So if I zoom out the area, most people that start in Calgary, they drive over here and they take the road, the highway number 1 directly to Banff, or like I said, take highway number 1A, better option. And some people, like we did, they also take the way all the way up to Edmonton and drive down to Jasper and then Banff. So those are the main options most people probably take. But honestly, most people miss the part that they can drive all the way up to the Rocky Mountain House and start entering the Rocky Mountains from there. And this stretch is often called the David Thompson Highway, and most often it is being described as beautiful, quiet, non-commercialized, and the best thing, it's less congested than highway number 1. And honestly, I don't know why that is being disregarded much, because if you check out the place with our research eyes, let's put it that way, and then you zoom in all the way to the Rocky Mountain House, you actually see when you click on the place that it's quite a quaint location. And you see there are a ton of things to do, a lot of nature, a lot of mountain landscapes. So definitely a good spot to start. And even if you take a better look and use our Street View tool to get a better understanding how the surroundings are and how the roads are, you see there's not a single soul on this road, right up here, but that's one car. So definitely that's a stretch you have to think of. Try to make a stop in Nordegg, that's stop number B, as many people do recommend to stop in Nordegg when you drive through. Nordegg is down here and has plenty things to do. It's a historic mine town, and when you're gonna make a stop there in Nordegg itself, make a stop at the museum, visit the historic mine, but you can also just stop here at the Nordegg viewing platform and take in the scenery sometimes, and that's the beauty of Canada. There are a ton of great viewpoint stops that you can take where you can enjoy a beautiful scenery. Here's a street view of it, and you will understand immediately why it is a good spot to stop. But there's one more, of course. When you drive even further down the road, and I'll show you that in a second. Anyway, when you get into this area, make sure that you stop somewhere along the way, and I'll show you in a second why. Because when you drive all this road, make sure to make a stop somewhere along this route. See how beautiful this view is? For me personally, that is like, wow, I want to go there right now and drive this road. That's so beautiful. Not a single soul is around. You can enjoy the whole scene just for yourself. It's amazing, right? And when you take this road, ultimately you will arrive at the Saskatchewan River crossing down here, where you can go ahead on the Icefields Parkway, the famous highway in the Rockies. That's one option you can do going up. I have taken or proposed another way to go instead, is to drive down to Banff and then take the detour down to Golden, and so you go all the way down to Revelstoke. And one bonus tip that I want to give you here is the following. If you go to Revelstoke and take this detour, make sure to visit the giant Cedars Boardwalk Trail. The reason is simply, so many people that drive from the Rockies down via Revelstoke, they just pass by and don't even stay for 1 or 2 nights in the region. But Revelstoke itself is worth a stop, and there's so many great things you can do. One hidden gem is the Giant Cedars Boardwalk. That is a great way to stretch your legs, to walk around. It's an easy walk, and you can learn a lot about the inland temperate rainforest from that region. So definitely worth a stop, and then you can decide which way to go. And then before we start slowly towards landing the plane, one other stretch that I want to talk with you is the West Kootenay stretch. And the West Kootenay stretch is it's like putting this part to the southern detour. And I'll show you that in a second what I mean. So, beforehand I introduced you to the Waterton Lakes National Park, and what I probably haven't told you before is that when you go all the way down here to the Waterton, you will take the Crowsnest Pass, which starts somewhere here up to Crowsnest, and take all the way down to Creston. So, and this area is known for its mining history, so definitely worth several stops there, or worth stopping at several places there. And when we talk about the West Kootenay stretch, is just to add the additional Kootenay layer, Kootenay Rockies layer, which is going to Creston, I also have it here, Creston, Nelson, and then to Trail. Even more historic mining towns as well, so good addition and combination of both. And what you get is why this corridor works. If you put everything together, you get historic mountain towns, walkable centers, lakeside charms as well, especially in Nelson. Then you get the option to visit hot springs, and if we move that a bit around to make it clear for you, if you go up here to Radium Hot Springs and Fairmont Hot Springs, so from here, from Cranbrook, you can drive up all the way to get some nice dipping in one of the hot springs. So another great way or a thing to add on your trip when you do that stretch. And the best thing is about this stretch, you definitely have fewer tour buses, meaning less crowds in this area. And if you talk about Nelson and Fernie, those are very beautiful alpine towns, and they're not as crowded as Whistler or as polished as Whistler, Banff, or some peaks, so you still can feel the town's own charm. And from what I've heard, it's worth a visit. I've been to Nelson, but to Fernie I haven't got the chance yet, so definitely worth a stop. And now we're coming to the last stretch, the last part that you can add on this trip. What I want to show you is then afterwards how you can combine these stretches into one itinerary. Now in the fifth part, we talk about the finishing touches. So there's one way when you have the Kootenay stretch that you do the Okanagan finish, or if you start going up north, then the Nordic route might be the better option. Let's do the Okanagan finish first. And when you're already doing the Kootenay stretch down here, then the best thing to do, instead of going up all the way to Rattlestock and racing then from there to Vancouver, take all the way up to Vernon, which is up here. And when you are in Vernon, make sure to see the Kalmalka Lake. And just to give you an idea why you need to see that lake, it is famous for its colors, for its turquoise colors. And even if there's some stops where you can take a bath, but to give you some idea that you get the gist of it is famous for its beautiful turquoise colors and also the surroundings of the lake. Anyway, from Vernon, after you dipped in the Kalmalka Lake, make sure to stop in Kelowna, grab yourself an ice cream, and if you have time and stay in Kelowna, there's a great fun water park on the water, which is a great experience for the whole family, where you can drain out your last energies. And from Kelowna, then all the way take the route down to the Osoyoos, where the only Canadian desert is, and then drive all the way west to Vancouver over Hope. Only throwdown, in this area there's always a lot of traffic, so that last leg of this drive is not so beautiful. But talking about the northern route, I've started in Jasper, and then you take the drive all the way down to Clearwater to visit the Helmken Falls, and then from Clearwater you take the fishing highway of BC. Some people also said it's Little Switzerland because of the many lakes, and the highway that I'm talking about is that one, all the way from Little Fort, when you come down from Clearwater down to Little Fort, all the way over to 100 Mile. So you're going to be in the Caribou region up here, and if you want to stay in one of the areas around here, make sure to have a cabin or a camping spot in this area. Believe me, if you stay there, you're gonna be in the middle of nowhere. It's amazing, it's beautiful, and it's just pure calmness and best way to come down. And then of course from 100 Mile we drive all the way down to Lillooet, Whistler and Squamish. And what I recommend if you plan to stay, Whistler is rather expensive, so I'd advise you to stop in Squamish or Lillooet for an overnight stay, and that route on the other hand offers you a great finish. This highway here is called the Sea to Sky Highway because of its beautiful scenery when you drive this highway. And just to give you some reason why, Sea to Sky Highway, you'll see that in a second. What will expect you on the drive? Believe me, each single time, no matter how much traffic is on that road, it always blows me away. Very, very highly recommended to do that highway at least once. Okay, so that's about the two routes. Now let's talk about the last part. Now we're slowly landing the plane here. You're wondering, okay, Diego, now I've got all these different options together, but they're all a bit apart. And you're totally right. Now we're going to combine these routes very easily. So if we start in Calgary, drive all the way down for the southern detour. And when you do that route, make sure that you're going to take all the way the Kootenay stretch and the Waterton part together and drive all the way to Vernon and then over to Vancouver. You can also make it a bit shorter and drive all the way across or close to the border to Osoyoos if you have less time. If you have a bit more time, take the way up to Vernon and do the stretch over here. So Calgary, Banff, you could decide if you want to do the Icefields Parkway, go all the way up to Jasper. And if you do Jasper, make sure that you either go to Clearwater and do this detour, or you could even say, all right, I still want to see that Vernon part thing. You can go down over Kamloops to Vernon. That would be the other option. And then of course we have the stretch that nobody talks about, the Rocky Mountain House, go to the Saskatchewan River crossing, and either take the Banff detour or go up to Jasper. That's the other idea and option you can do. It's all up to you. And then, or even here, you can still combine things differently. But I did on purpose create these different parts so that you have the option to bundle them up the way you want them to have. Let me know in the comments what do you think is in your point of view, the best itinerary you want. And also, if you want to know more which would fit for your purposes or needs, maybe if you only have 2 weeks, you'd rather go this way and not go, or take all the way down here and across close to the border. So now I want to know from you as well, if you are the type of traveler that wants to build smarter Western Canada itineraries and not just follow the crowds, then I guess this channel is perfectly for you. And if you want to know more similar tips like that one, then just check out my next video, which is about 10 mistakes that people make when traveling to Canada and how you can avoid them. And with that, keep in mind, plan smart, skip the crowds, and turn a good road trip into one you will never forget.